Hello and welcome. My name is Scott Suskovic. I'm pastor at Christ Lutheran Church, and welcome to this podcast that we call Deeper Dive, in which we take a look at the previous Sunday's sermon and go at a deeper level for a great conversation. We're glad you're here. Hello and welcome to this episode of a Deeper Dive as we're continuing this sermon series called God With Us. Pastor Scott Suskovic here along with
Pastor Adrian Martin.
And we continue this. We're actually, I don't know if the congregations figure this out. We're going to be working our way through the Old Testament. We started with the Garden of Eden. And then the second one, I talked here about the Tabernacle. During the time of the Exodus up to the time of Solomon. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to be preaching this weekend on the temple.
Yeah, in the sacrifice.
The sacrifice.
Yeah, so from Eden, the wilderness, to the tabernacle, to the temple, and then we move on from there.
Good. So let's just do a quick recap of Sunday. We talked about the tabernacle, a tent in which it was on the move, I talked about. There was a lot of times in which it was stationary, but it wasn't a building per se so much. It was a tent, and it moved as the people moved. It went into battle as people went to battle, and it stayed put as people stayed put. Mm-hmm. The idea was, whether it's the Noahic covenant or the Abrahamic covenant or the Mosaic covenant, the red thread that was woven through all those covenants is God's promise of God's presence. I'm going to be your God, you're going to be my people. And that tabernacle then was the visible presence of that.
Mm-hmm. Containing the Ark of the Covenant, which was the concentrated, real presence.
Concentrated.
Yeah.
And so then what we did, besides just some mildly interesting Jewish history on the tabernacle, what does this mean? It's a good Lutheran question, right?
Sure is.
What does this mean? And we looked at the Gospel of John, in which John picks up on this theme or these imagery of a tabernacle. In that great verse from chapter 1 of John's Gospel, and the Word became flesh and pitched its tent, or better yet, the Word became flesh and tabernacled with us.
Yeah, Pastor Scott, when I was in seminary, one of my first funeral sermons was on this scripture, that, we're here for a temporary time and we move on to the church triumphant, but that we don't live forever, but we often, we miss that in that word dwelt, because that's how it's translated. That's the word in English that we read. The word came and dwelled among us. Yeah. But it's actually tabernacled.
Tabernacled. I don't use that word nearly enough.
I never use that word. I should build it in.
Put that into my vocabulary. So then, so really it's the idea that Jesus is dwelling with us. Much like in the tabernacle, God was with his people. Jesus is dwelling in us, with us, and for us. Mm-hmm. But then I ask the question, and here's where I want to focus our conversation today. I ask the question, what about if you don't feel it? Because we all go through those times in our faith journey in which we feel dull or stagnant. Mm-hmm. You've never...
Oh, never.
Never?
Not once, ever.
It's just me.
All inspired all the time.
Always inspired.
No, several times of those moments.
So the question is, where is God during those stagnant, dull, dry periods? Where is God? I don't feel his presence. Is God still dwelling, tabernacling in me? And I think maybe the question that we want to talk about today is, when that happens, and it surely will, or surely has, what are some ways to break out of that or to recapture that love and feeling?
Whoa, love. Yeah.
Now, the one that I mentioned, and I'll see if you've got another one here, but one that I mentioned was the Luther's approach. Luther went through a lot of doubt in his life. And there's one story in which he pounded the desk with his fist and he said, "But God, you promised. You promised that in my baptism that I am your child. You promised to forgive my sins. You promised to be with me always to the end of the ages. So instead of trusting his feelings, which go up and down like a Coney Island roller coaster, Luther chose to trust the promise, to trust the word, and not his fleeting emotions.
I love Martin Luther so much. There's so much you can identify with him. Saints, we can admire them so much, but you see the torment that Luther went through and what pushed him to the brink of realizing Christ's love, God's love and mercy. And it's not about feeling. And something else about Luther is that he used the promises of God to make the devil flee. And he would say, go away from me, depart from me, just like Jesus in the temptations to say you have to just direct the devil away because those voices will sometimes creep in.
The story about that inkwell in which he threw the inkwell at the wall because the devil was tempting him at that time. All right, so that's one way in which we can recapture that loving feeling by focusing on the promise and not our feeling. You got another one?
Yeah. Let's see. Well, maybe silence. Silence was one that came up to get away from some of that noise.
Yeah, I know that I fill my life with activities. I told Gretchen the other day, I'm not exhausted, but I realize I am exhausting.
Because you're so busy?
Well, I love a full plate, and I love activities. When somebody asks, I'll say, I'm in. What is it? I'm in. So I get it that I'm not a good barometer because from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed, I've got activity going on, or I've got noise on. And that noise could be some music playing, or maybe watching TV, or, being distracted. So I like what you're saying. The second way to recapture is to silence the noise.
Yeah. And to be aware of what we are ingesting in our minds too. Thinking about, it's good to turn it off because we can also see then the influences it has for us to think a certain way. Think about the movies we watch and the music we listen to.
Or the images.
Yes.
They get stuck.
It can mess with you and really not be faith building. All the things that, over time we kind of become desensitized to it.
Oh, we watch a movie that would have some violence in it or something. And I can go right to sleep. I can compartmentalize pretty well. Yeah. Gretchen, it just fills her. So that would resonate with her. Don't fill your mind, don't fill your heart with all that noise and distractions and ugly stuff.
Yeah.
So, number one, we trust the promises and not our fleeting feelings. Number two, carve out that quiet time to be able to get rid of the distractions, and in the silence, as the psalmist says, be still and know that I am God. Got anything else?
That's beautiful. Let's see. I think community is a huge one.
We just said being silent.
Go away and have a community.
Both.
Yeah, both. Yes, it's a both and.
Okay.
Yeah. I think, we do need to get away sometimes, and that's healthy and good. We also need to be connected to people. That is one of the contributors of depression, is loneliness. Yeah. And sometimes people are going through a hard time. A colleague of mine was telling me that she hadn't seen someone for months, and she would call and they wouldn't really pick up. And then finally the person did. And she's like, I haven't seen you for a while. What's going on? She's like, I'm just not feeling it. I don't want to be there. And my friend said, well, that's exactly why you come. Yeah. We lift each other up. We walk with each other to know you're not alone. And it's okay if you're not, feeling like jumping up and down each song or feeling especially strong. Yeah. That's what the community is made for.
There is something about just getting out. Now, some people have said that, if you're by yourself and you go to the mall or go to a brewery by yourself, you've never felt more lonely than in a crowded room. You're not saying that.
Right. No, this is about real connection. And that's the challenge I think we have in community today is that, we can come and go and say hi and bye. But like we saw that Bonhoeffer movie with the Sunday school class.
Yes.
He talks about true community and what that means, that you bear with one another. You carry each other's burdens. It's a very intimate type of community that requires a lot of us, but it's really fulfilling.
There's I got to be careful here. I don't know this personally, but there's a website
Sounds like a good disclaimer. Sounds wise.
that it's not a dating website, but it is an activity website. That is, if you like hiking, we're going to meet at Crowder's Mart. If you like biking, we're going to meet at the Greenway. If you like this concert, we're going to meet here.
A dinner club. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they're having a shared experience today together. They may not know each other. They may not have a whole lot in common except they like to bike or like to hike. But that was like when we went to the Bonhoeffer movie. There were 30 of us. And I would dare to say probably half didn't know half the people.
Oh.
Maybe by face, but they didn't really know them. But we had a common experience, the Bonhoeffer. We had a common church, and there's in that community with one another. So I think you're right. You got to carve out that time alone, be quiet, be still, know that I am God. And at the same time, we are designed, we are built to be communal people.
Yeah, that's so true. And I was thinking about another one was how you started your sermon, which was Mecca. Sometimes people go on quests. They need to have some type of quest, or it could be a project or some effort for self-discovery that may or may not bear fruit. I mean, I think that's really not always for us to decide.
I didn't think about that. That's a great point. I love projects around the house. A while back, my stairs and my back porch completely rotted out, and it took me a while to rebuild all of them, the stringers, the steps, everything else there. And I was alone. I loved it. It was a time to have a Mecca of sorts. That is, this was my destination. Not a place over in the Middle East, but a destination of completing this project. Because in our business, we often don't see the end product.
Right. Yeah, you're sowing seeds and doing your best and hoping and praying, but sometimes you don't see the outcome.
But I cut and pound and sand, and I can look at that, and that was a project. So I got to think that's a fourth one. All right, Luther, the trusting. Promises. Second one was quiet.
Quiet, yep. Then community.
Third one, community. Fourth one, how about purpose?
Purpose, yeah.
It could be a hobby, could be a project, could be something that distracts you from the loneliness, distracts you from the dryness. I think that's a great one too.
Yeah.
Well, good. So I think that idea about tabernacling, my new favorite word, I think we need to continue to live in that and realize that if we don't feel it, if we're feeling dry right now, it's not God who moved. We're the ones who moved. We somehow got out of the rhythm, we got out of the pattern, we got out of the community, we got out of the quietness. We got out of hearing the promise. And it's by reclaiming that we once again can experience that gift of Jesus pitching his tent in, with, and for us.
Yeah, because God is always there waiting.
All right. Got a quick little sentence for this coming Sunday sermon?
God dwells with us in the temple and the sacrifice, yet we know that we are living sacrifices.
Good deal. All right. We'll join you on Sunday, but from Pastor Adrian and I, we want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Goodbye.